Good day, Amherstburg. It's myself, Laura D'Alessandro.
And it's Ron Giofu from the Rivertown Times, back here on the airways of CKBG 107.9 The Berg for the RTT's Week in Review.
It was a fog day this morning. I know buses were canceled in the county, but they ran in the city. But driving my kids to LaSalle to school, the fog seemed to have lifted around County Road 10. So it was kind of a mix of everything out there this morning. So I hope you made it safely to where you needed to be. And it looks like it's going to shape up to be a nice day.
Yeah, I guess buses are running this afternoon, but hopefully, like you say, everything turned out well and everyone got where they needed to be, and hopefully the kids are back in school as normal tomorrow.
Here's hoping. It's going to be a nice weekend, I think, by the looks of things, so that'll be nice for some of the upcoming events that we got going on in town this weekend. Turning our attention to the paper, Council met last Tuesday night. They postponed their Monday night meeting to Tuesday night due to the election. There was a special meeting beforehand, before the regular Council meeting, and it stretched well past the 1 hour allotted time. And a big topic of that meeting was the potential development of the former General Amherst High School.
There was a lot of discussion, a lot of concerns, but in fairness, there was some kudos for the presentation put forth by the Valente Development Group. Some people liked it, and some people want it to come to fruition. Others had concerns about parking, other traffic, noise, shadows, and that sort of thing. So it was quite the mix of opinions. It was a big issue. That's why the regular council meeting didn't get started until, I want to say, like 20 after 7. I can't remember the exact time. But this was the 5 o'clock meeting, and it went by the time it was about 5:20 or so by the time they got into the General Amherst site debate. And it was quite extensive, quite a lot of different opinions, like I say, traffic, parking, where construction workers going to park, all these sorts of things. All that came up as part of the meeting. It was a special planning meeting. It wasn't an actual council meeting. They did not make any decisions as it pertains to the location of Town Hall and whether or not it's going into the former General Amherst High School, the redevelopment thereof at 130 Sandwich Street South. And so that debate is still upcoming, but it's mainly to discuss zoning and official plan issues. And like I was saying, a lot of parking concerns, traffic concerns. You know, a lot of people are wondering, okay, what's this going to look like if these buildings go up? What's the traffic going to be like? How many cars are going to come down the street? What about construction vehicles? So a wide range of concerns. Like as I say, there was some praise for the development as well. So it was a full story starting on page 1, continuing on page 2, and continuing again on page 4 of this week's RTT. It's up on the website at www.rivertowntimes.com. Check out the full story there. Yeah, we'll see where it goes from here. Their input gathered at the public meeting will come back as part of a future report to Town Council with a recommendation on the issue. It was mainly more of an information gathering session, and a lot of information was shared.
I encourage people to take a look at the renderings. I know you had a really great photo online. It's amazing what they want to do with it, and to kind of break apart the school and keep, existing things and redevelop other parts that are there. It's very exciting, and I would love to see something happen, but I do agree with some of the concerns too. And I think, Town Council did a great job of giving people a chance to talk, and Valente presented himself very well too with what they, hearing the concerns and wanting everybody in town to feel like they were heard. And, maybe we could cut some of these things off at the pass and make it a development that suits everybody. So
yeah, if it does go forward, it's about a 3-year, I believe they said, construction process. It's a long way from being over in terms of the debate, and if it does go forward, the construction. So we'll see where it goes from here, and we'll obviously be keeping a close eye on it for the RTT.
And thanks for that, Ron. I definitely appreciate that. The regular meeting seemed to move rather quickly in spite of the meeting that kind of dragged on there before. Quick items that were discussed were the request from the Legion on a noise bylaw exemption, the possibility of signage at Lakewood Beach, and the progress of the new fire station.
Lots of stuff in this week's RTT. Again, we got stories on page 3 and throughout the paper. So make sure you pick it up or view us online at www.rivertowntimes.com. Lots to discuss, lots to read about. And so you pick it up either in print or view us online.
IRCA held a public open house last night at the Libro Center. IRCA was looking for some public feedback on the possibility of a disc golf course coming to Holiday Beach.
Yeah, that happened after this week's issue of the RTT went to press. So we'll have obviously a lot more in next week's issue of the RTT. What we can tell you now is that well over 100 people were out at the Libro Center last night in the community room. It was contentious at points. It was A lot of people were there in opposition to the proposed 9-hole disc golf course at Holiday Beach. A lot of the concerns were about conservation and making sure that wildlife was preserved, and a lot of the members of the Holiday Beach Migration Observatory, otherwise known as the HBMO, were present. A lot of opposition from that group. And but there were also people from the Ontario Disc Golf Association were there. Disc golf players were in attendance, and they were saying, hey, you know what, we work hand in hand with conservation, and it's not as bad as you think. I think IRCA and the disc golf folks were trying to clear the air in a lot of situations, while on the other side of the equation, people were like, you know what, this is not the place for a disc golf course. You can go elsewhere. I don't think there was an opposition to disc golf specifically. It's just in the location where it's going. If there was another park or campground or anywhere else, I think, they would be okay with it. A lot of the folks in opposition to it going to Holiday Beach were saying, hey, you know what, let's bring in more ecotourism. Let's really enhance that, and let's work with IRCA on that. And right now there is a pause on the disc golf development. It's not going ahead at the moment. They're getting an environmental assessment done, and expect this issue to come back before the IRCA Board of Directors later this year. Looks like in the fall. We'll definitely, again, that's another story the Rivertown Times will stay on top of. And if we don't, I'm sure somebody will remind us, because it's a hot button issue, that's for sure. They set up for about 60 chairs last night, thinking that would be enough. It was not. They put out about 30 more, and that was still not enough. People were standing around the downstairs community room at the Libro Center. So it's fair, and it was about a 2-hour meeting, so it's fair to say it was quite the hot button issue, and it's definitely one we're going to be staying on top of.
Have you ever played disc golf, Ron?
I've thrown a Frisbee around, but I've never actually played disc golf.
Well,
so I don't really know what goes into it. As I understand, you throw a Frisbee around, and
like golf.
You kind of try to get it into a basket. And
I think there's one of these out in Bell River, isn't there?
There actually is one. Yeah, I think there is one there, but there is one in Amherstburg. I believe there's a small course at Bodwin Park in River Canard. Huh. It's right in the subdivision. They're kind of in back of St. Joseph's School, kind of in back of the church. And I believe I want to say 6 holes. I'm not entirely certain of that, but it's a small course. Yeah, again, out at Bodwin Park in River Canard.
Maybe we should check it out. It could be like a staff team building thing.
It could be, yeah. It's
winner takes all.
Exactly, yeah. Well,
loser drives Gerald home.
Yeah, sounds like a plan to me.
Amherstburg Fire Department kicked off Emergency Preparedness Week this week by participating in 2 events last weekend.
Yeah, if you drove by Sobeys, well, specifically Firehouse Subs, a.k.a. the Sobeys Plaza, we probably saw a fire truck out there and a tent set up. I know I saw it and stopped in, and that was one of the events it was also International Firefighters Day on Sunday, so we thank our firefighters here and across the world for doing what they do to keep us safe. And again, firefighters were out at the Firehouse Subs as part of an event for International Firefighters Day, but it's also the start of Emergency Preparedness Week. So some crews were out at Firehouse Subs at 83 Salmon Street South, and other crews were out on Boblo Island, educating residents and passing out KI pills and just giving some safety tips and that sort of thing. So it was a busy Sunday for the fire department. I know I talked to Chief Mike Mio, and thanks for his assistance. A couple different events out, and so we stayed on top of that. We got a story in on this week's issue of the RTT, and make sure you check it out.
And also, just to let people know, there is an emergency preparedness test today by...
I believe that's a provincial test.
Provincial. And then there's one from the town coming later this week.
Yeah, there's an Amherstburg alert test. I believe it's Friday at 4.
So if your phone goes off and you get the emails and all the other things, don't be alarmed. We're just testing things, right?
Exactly. There's a test coming up. Yeah, like you say, if it's don't worry, the town's not breaking apart or falling apart. Everything's okay. There's no incoming storms or anything to worry about. Just a test.
Perfect.
Only a test.
Good stuff. Amherstburg Community Services held their volunteer appreciation dinner last week. This year's theme was Searching the World for Volunteers Like You. Yeah,
so I kind of airline theme. People hopped aboard ACS Airlines. You had staff members dressed up in kind of in pilots' outfits, stewardess outfits, flight attendant outfits, however you want to describe them. They had a little fun with it, with the theme, and about 100 volunteers were at the AMA Sportsman Association last Wednesday night. And it was just to say thank you. I mean, Wetra had another event similar to this on Sunday, so it was just a time to thank all the volunteers. A lot of people don't realize, though, the work that goes in behind the scenes. A lot of these agencies and organizations we have in town and across Windsor-Essex County, they wouldn't happen unless for a lot of the volunteers. ACS being one of them, WETRA being another. And I know I'm a volunteer with Community Living Essex County. I'm a board member, but a volunteer as well. And I know we have volunteers running a lot of different events as well and helping out at a lot of our various functions. So thanks to all the volunteers for what you do to give back to your community. It's a great way to help out and give back. And again, we've got some coverage of a couple of different events in this week's issue of the Rivertown Times.
Actually, another volunteer organization making the paper this week is the Amherstburg Food and Fellowship Mission. The Garage Gym presented the mission with approximately 1,500 pounds of canned food. The items were collected as part of the gym's first can carry event. That's exciting. Always great to help out the mission.
Exactly. Yeah, I know the mission was excited on Friday night. So if you saw folks walking down the street with boxes and bags of food heading from Murray Street to Victoria Street, that's why. And I know the folks at the Garage Gym were excited. They had a goal of about 1,000 pounds locally, and they got about 1,500 pounds, and they got about 10,000 pounds across their 3 sites for various other food banks. Windsor and Kingsville were also involved, and the Garage Gyms there. But locally, yeah, it was about 1,500 pounds for the Amherstburg Food and Fellowship Mission. And it's a time of year where, I mean, I'm sure the shelves that were stocked around Christmas time were filled up then. The community did a great job then. But I'm sure those shelves are getting lower and lower because we're into May and a lot of that food's been distributed. So great job at the Garage Gym. And I'm sure I'm not out of line by speaking for the mission on this occasion and saying they will take your donations. They'll be happy to take your donations of food, monetary donations, and anything you can contribute to help those less fortunate in the community. You know, some folks might have been doing well a little bit not too long ago, but life circumstances can be difficult sometimes, and sometimes they need a hand up. So they got a helping hand, and the Garage Gym helped with that last Friday evening.
1,500 pounds. That's probably as many groceries as I carry in every week.
Probably, yeah, with 4 kids at home and
2 teenage boys now. Oh man.
Yeah, they'll eat out of house and home. I'm sure. In the not too distant future, if you're not careful.
That's true. Turning our attention to sports, the Admirals held their year-end banquet at Shooters last weekend. Several awards and special recognitions were handed out.
Yeah, there's a lot of awards. Our Fred Groves was out covering the event for us at Shooters. Drew Booker won the Team MVP award. That was one of many awards that were handed out by our local Junior C franchise. Great job by the whole team this season. They not only honored players, they also honored their volunteer of the year. They paid tribute to their trainer, who is unfortunately not going to be back. I mean, we wish her well, obviously. She's focusing on career, schooling, and as I understand it, she traveled back and forth from Wallaceburg to attend games. So good luck to Jenna Jardine. Again, great job by the Admirals, and they were also busy recently at the Libro Center with their spring camp. So, I mean, they're already looking forward to the 2025-26 hockey season. They're already scouting new talent. They had quite an improvement this past season. They made it to the second round of the playoffs, and unfortunately they ran into a really strong Lakeshore team in the second round, but still, that's quite an improvement over the 10-win season they had the year previous. So good job by the Admirals. They've officially put the bow on this past season with their year-end awards. Full story on page 11 of this week's issue of the Rivertown Times and online, www.rivertowntimes.com.
North Star Sports, the boys soccer wrapped up their season, finally securing a big win in their final game, finishing the season 1-4-1. Girls soccer, they picked up a couple of big wins heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's another one of those stories that happened after this week's issue of the RTT went to press, but we can kind of break some news for you again here on the airwaves of CKBG. We can mention that they won a pair of games early this week. Monday, they hosted the Kennedy Clippers and won 9-1. Then they played their rivals from Essex on Tuesday, and they won last night 3-1, again at the Libro Center. The Wolves finished the regular season 4-2, and the girls will enter the playoffs looking to build on their recent success. They've won about 2 or 3 in a row now. Well, 2 for sure. They're looking to build on that and get some momentum going as the WEXA playoffs get ready to begin. As of last night, they did not know their first game of the playoffs. It most likely will be at the Libro Center, though, so we'll keep you informed and we'll keep you abreast of how the girls' soccer team does.
Also sports, the Miracle League, they started their season last Saturday. I know you were out there and members of council were out for the opening ceremonies kicking off the 2025 season, and looked like it was, in spite of the weather, it was a pretty good day.
Yeah, it was kind of windy and cold, but that didn't stop a lot of smiles and a lot of happiness from going on. We got some photos up on our social media pages, and it's always great to see. And they're having a couple fundraisers coming up. I know there's a fish fry coming up, so keep an eye on their social media for that. I think it actually might be this Friday. But again, check the Miracle League website and check the Miracle League social media pages for that. And I know they're having a mini golf tournament coming up May 31st at your East Country Kitchen in Malden Center. So keep your eyes open for that. And again, check amherstburgmiracle.com for more details, as well as the Miracle League social media pages. Always great to go out there. I believe they have about 182 players is what President Sean Dufour told me. Again, 9 teams again this season. And again, it's Saturdays, weather permitting, out at the Libro Center. 4 games per day, 10, 11:30, 1, and 2:30. They could always use the volunteers. And again, amherstburgmiracle.com to follow up on how you can volunteer. It's great for kids needing your volunteer hours for high school. And it's just great for anybody who's looking for things to do and ways to give back on a Saturday.
Yeah, it's fun for the whole family, that's for sure. Turning our attention to the weekend, Friday night, music off the back porch at the Park House Museum at 214 Dalhousie. That's from 5:30 to 7:30. Be sure to bring your own chair. Donations are always appreciated for that one. And then also on Friday night, it's Friday night cruising at Encounter Church, a little car show going on there. That's at 125 Elma, and that's going to start at 4 p.m.
Yeah, they advise you to bring your cars in early on Friday to Encounter Church.
You taking your car out there, Ron?
It's getting old, but I don't know if it's called a classic yet.
You're a classic, though.
I try to be, yeah.
There's classic Ron moments that happen.
I might change my byline in the paper from Ron Giofu to Ron Classic. We'll see.
Please.
If you see that name in the paper, that's the reason why. But
classic Ron.
Exactly, yeah.
Also a reminder, just mark your calendars too, in case you haven't thought about it yet, Sunday is Mother's Day. So be sure to reach out to all those special moms and women in your life that share that role in your life. So be sure to wish them a happy Mother's Day. I know there's some things going on. The River Canard KSC, they're having a brunch on Sunday. That's in the paper. I'm not sure if there's anything going on here at the Legion for Mother's Day.
I'm not entirely certain, but
let me take a quick look.
We got a variety of different...
they are. They are doing, at the Legion, they are doing Sunday brunch from 9 to noon. So.
And we've got some Mother's Day advertising, a special Mother's Day greeting in this week's RTT. And but again, make sure you wish your mom, your grandma, your stepmom, any special woman in your life with kids, and make sure you wish them a happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, and just a shout out to my kids, clean your rooms. That's all I want, just clean your rooms. You too, Ron, clean your room.
Yes, Mom.
All right, Amherstburg, have a great day.
Have a great day. Have a great week. Our drivers, Ken and Louise, are out there stocking up stores and shelves in Amherstburg, Harrow, LaSalle, and Essex. And we'll be back on the air next Wednesday at noon and the replay at 4:30 p.m.